Hey guys, it's me, Sean, not the sheep, and today I wanted to show you guys some of the work I've done for my sophomore year. So if you didn't know, I am majoring in industrial design, and the type of designs we create is really broad. It can range from, physical product designs. There's also app design, systems, and a lot of different types of design. So the first semester of the year, I took 4 different studios. There is Design Principles 1, Metals 1, Rhino Workshop, and Wood 1. And in the second semester, I did Design Principles 2, Wood 2. I didn't take Metals 2 because I didn't like Metals 1, and I'm not really interested in working with metal. And also there was designing with SolidWorks. Design Principles is probably my favorite class. The first few weeks, it was mostly learning about drawing. A lot of the other classes, they did perspective drawings, but for some reason my class, we focused on isometric drawings, which was really tedious. And afterwards we worked on a more creative project where we designed a toothbrush. So what we did was we partnered up, and we had to interview our partner, which is our client, about their preferences for a toothbrush, and then with that information we had to redesign a toothbrush tailored to our client. I think the design turned out to be pretty good. My client liked it, and there's also a lot of additional features such as removable head. So the design itself is a long, slim, kind of like a pen sized toothbrush with very simplistic curves and repeated kind of in itself, with rubber grips, which are all detachable from the plastic when you want to throw it away. And part of the project was also learning how to render, using the skills we learned in our Designing with Rhino workshop to render my toothbrush. Another part of the project was to familiarize ourselves with learning how to create physical prototypes using foam. So the second project was a group project, and it involved designing furniture for children's hospital waiting rooms. And so it involved a lot of teamwork, and a lot of brainstorming about, what we want in the chair and what is needed in terms of ergonomics and stuff like that to be suitable for children. And we came up with this design, which I don't think is that great, but it's focused on take their mind off the scary perception of doctors, and let them focus on having fun while they wait in the waiting room. So the design is a kind of geometric, playful, drum-inspired chair design with a top that is detachable to be different modules of games. So things like it could be a screen for ebooks, or a drawing surface, or a puzzle, or Legos and stuff like that. And part of this project is we are trying to create a brand around it as well. So we named our chairs Fun Hive before its hexagonal shape and how it's when placed together it looks kind of like a beehive, so that's where the name came from. And part of the project was to learn the full design process, so from brainstorm to coming up with design driver words, things, coming up with sketches, and renderings as well using Rhino, and thinking about materials and doing technical drawings, and also coming up with context illustrations, so putting our product into the environment and seeing how that works in multiples. Yeah. The next project was really fun. We were required to choose an existing company and design and introduce a new product line for them. So I chose IKEA, but instead of doing like physical products, I thought it'd be interesting to introduce a new service for IKEA. And part of the limitations of IKEA is the lack of creativity and sustainability within customer involvement, because you know the extent of creativity in IKEA is, you know, just building your furniture yourself and that's it. So I looked at different possible places in IKEA where I can implement this idea, and I ended up looking at IKEA's as is section where they sell unwanted and damaged products, and that I think was a good opportunity to introduce what I call the DIY, where we would design simple DIY products based on existing products that are frequently found in the as-is section that meets IKEA's design standards. So part of what I hoped that this service would bring to IKEA is easy to DIY products, something that's educational, something that's upcycled, but at the same time still follows IKEA's design aesthetics. So part of this project, I came up with, you know, the usual sketches and stuff, and also coming up with proof of concept. So designing, giving a few examples of what the design will look like. So keeping in mind the IKEA instruction user manual aesthetic and using that as the proof of concept, and also thinking about on-site implementation. So things like signage, things like what I could do to indicate this, introduce this new service to the people, and also thinking about online implementation. So what I can add to the existing website that could easily indicate the service for people. Yeah. Also, other projects include designing, designing more products. So designing scissors and bottles. Also doing more technical stuff like exploded views, and also a bar soap project. So my bar soap was focused on something that can be mass produced. So similar to Dove and other really mainstream bar soaps. And also coming up with branding, which I kind of took inspiration from the Dove branding, which is really, you know, fresh, creamy, clean, fluid, and yeah. And for my final, I designed a app focused on improving the experience for hospital volunteers. So for this project, we had to look at news articles and identify a existing problem, and finding a solution to tackle it. And I stumbled upon this article that talks about how having volunteers who are companions for old people in the geriatric unit of the hospitals can really help with their health as well, because there's research done that shows that loneliness has a relationship with earlier death, and yeah, which is sad. And so I came up with, so part of the problem was that the process of applying is really outdated and is really unclear and inefficient for volunteers, and there isn't really a platform that can help manage all these activities. So I came up with this app that serves as a platform for accessibility to these volunteer opportunities, and a way to manage your volunteering programs. So things like scheduling, maps, and things to really clarify and improve their experience. Yeah, and that was first semester. Oh my god, this video is gonna be so long. So wood and metal is pretty straightforward. It was really just learning about the basic woodworking skills and metalworking skills. So wood, we worked with mostly a lot of hand tools, so learning how to plane wood with a hand tool, learning how to sculpt with like chisels and stuff, and learning how to do bent laminations and working on the lathe, things like that. And metals was working with steel and aluminum to really understand their limitations as a material and creating these sculptural forms, which was boring. I didn't like it. And so the second semester, Design Principles 2 was pretty much like a continuation of Design Principle 1. So the first project was a group project. We had to create a cardboard chair that would hold one person's weight, and it was a really overdone project, so a lot of the ideas were already out there, and coming up with an original idea was kind of challenging, but you know, through a lot of sketching and like narrowing down what path we want to take really helped. And we came up with inspiration boards, and there was also a lot of building small sketch models to see how the things would work, how it looked. And in the end, we came up with this really fun and cool accordion cardboard chair that extends and collapses to seat a different number of people. And also there was a limitation where we were only allowed to use 2 sheets of cardboard. Yeah. And the second project was a form exploration. So we came up with 3 themes, and we had to do a bunch of sketches that really represent that theme. And I made a video of that process, which you can check out in the I button. I ended up using plasticine, which I thought would be good, but I didn't really like how the results turned out. It was kind of sloppy, but that's okay. And the next project was really fun. It's a mechanism project, and I also made another video about that too, which you can check out in the I button, or in the description note in the I button. The project was about making toys and using mechanism as part of it, and I came up with this storybook toy where when you crank the toy, little figures will travel through an environment. And I thought it was really cute, but it didn't work out in the end, which is okay. The next project was a research project. It was focused on really getting in, because all the previous project we did was just really shallow research, so this project was really to get really into the subject and conducting a lot of interviews, doing a lot of research, things like that. And we did research on POS systems in restaurants, so we did a lot of interviews with managers and employees and customers to look at their thoughts on different POS systems from 3 different perspectives. And in the end, we had to come up with an infograph, which is something we do a lot, learning how to visualize and map out information in the clearest way possible. And after that, we did a really quick project, where we had to create a lampshade. Yeah, pretty straightforward. And the final project, we could either choose to design a solution based off of the research project we did, or come up with a new topic and continue the research, do more research and create a product. So I ended up doing redesigning the food truck. So I was looking at how food trucks are really flawed in terms of their design. There's a lot of problems with you know, the collection of the food, the ordering of the food, and the dining experience in general. And I did a lot of survey, and based off that, I redesigned the food truck to improve these food truck experience. And part of this project was, you know, the presentation was really important, coming up with an engaging way to present. So really identifying the problem clearly and how you can tackle that problem with your design. So Wood 2 is a continuation of Wood 1. It was learning more of the woodworking machines. So learning how to plane using the machine instead of the hand tool, learning more about the lathe, learning more about bandsaw, table saws, things like that. and there was a lot of repeated projects, but this time instead of using hand tools to make joints and stuff like that, we used machines to accurately create these joints. So finger joints, lap joints, mortise and tenon, and making jigs, making boxes, making frame construction, and our final project was to design a piece of furniture using a limited amount of wood, and I created a nightstand, which you can see right there. Yeah, I made a video about designing the table and creating the table, and I'll put that in the I button as well. And what else did I do? Designing with SolidWorks was kind of like Rhino, but it's a different software, it's more technical, and we basically learned how to use the software, and for our final project we designed our own product and used the software to do really technical drawings and also 3D printing the object from SolidWorks. Yeah. Is that all I did? Yeah, that's it. That was my semester. That was my year. Second year at RISD. Overall, I think it's a lot easier than freshman year. I can say that, I think. Because I guess part of it is because it's a lot more direct and like technical, like you do this, and we do it, instead of freshman year where it's like really open-ended and like you have to think. Well, I still have to like think a lot in my second year, but it's a lot more like, you know, constant like bam, new project, think. Whereas this, there is some sort of directive, and it's a lot more longer term projects. But it really depends on what your major is. I can only share my experience as an industrial design student, and if you're interested in industrial design, I think it's amazing. I personally decided to go into the major because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was really torn between industrial design or graphic design, but you know, after being in industrial design for a year, there really is a lot of opportunities to incorporate in graphic design. So a lot of times we do infographics, and that really is a lot of graphic design work. There's a lot of branding projects as well. App designs also require a lot of graphic design skills for interface design, and yeah, I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed my video. Bye!